It's training camp season, and today we're looking at the Kansas City Chiefs, getting a good look at Rashee Rice, work through some drills, catch some balls, work with Patrick Mahomes, and everything else. Before it again, you need to click that subscribe button right now because we're looking at training camp practices every day of your favorite players, those rookies, those position battles, and guys, you're getting ready to draft in fantasy football here soon. Click that button, stand to know what your players do behind the scenes so you have an idea of whether or not they're climbing the depth chart or not. But today we're looking at Rashee Rice. We're going to loop this, keep talking ball, watch what he's doing on the field, and also talk about this season coming up. But here we are. Patrick Mahomes slinging it out. There he is on the slant. There he is. I think your questions are going to be answered in the regards of whether or not he's back from the injuries from last year. Like we've been saying all along, minicamp, OTAs, workout clips, that he would be. Now, another thing that has been answered here is whether or not we're going to be back up to snuff to how we were playing this time last year, as we were one of the biggest risers in camp from the previous year, and that rookie ramp up in the back end of the rookie season before we started to take flight last year. The thing about this is he's back. He's back. He's looking good. One of the beat writers noted that he was one of the best players on the field. On the field, the whole practice. First thing, the thing about that is that was said multiple times last year. Multiple times in minicamp OTAs. And now we're back to doing that. That's a good sign. That's a very good sign. And I know the comment section already went off with this. What about the suspension? What about that? That's probably going to happen, but we do not know how long or if or when or what or whatever. But one thing we can look at, which we have no control out of everything because we're just watching and speculating and spectating, is how he's performing and how he's looking on the field. And we're tuned up to where we were last year. If anything, if he does have a suspension, and I don't know, 3, 4, 5, 6 games more, whatever. That also allows him to heal up more, get more removed from those injuries. Probably feel fresher when he comes back in. And this team can win without him. They've already proven that. And they added more pieces. They got Jalen Royals. They got some weapons here. This is an interesting team. The thing about Rashee Rice and his ADP, it has dropped, but it's not sinking like a stone like Quinshon Judkins. And the reason why it's dropped about a round and a half on Underdog Fantasy. I looked last night. Could be a little bit more, but it has dropped, which means in drafts he's going a little bit later than that because the average has the prior in there. He's going to come to a stalemate to where, like, hey, if he's out X amount of games and he comes back and he's looking like prior, it's still going to be a good discount. It's still going to be like a ramp-up player because you're getting to the point where you'll get to an area of the draft where the wide receivers are very ambiguous. You know they're going to be up and down. The odds of them becoming a wide receiver one in fantasy isn't that grand. They might give you some boom weeks. There's a point in the draft that there's no RB dead zone this year because it's so deep at running back due to this rookie class. But you're still going to have to call it the dead zone because you just can't switch names just for 1 year or 2 years. It's in that RB dead zone area where things get ambiguous at wide receiver. It's very strong at running back, so you could pivot to the running back. But also you got veteran running backs in there that are on the back nine of their career that you're looking at. But if he starts falling in that range, the one thing you can say is compared to a lot of those wide receivers in that area is this is a guy, once he's back, he's going to give you consistent production day in and day out and could be an asset on the back nine of the season that you're ready to roar in. Like, people were drafting him in the second round for a reason. And if anything, I don't see him dropping off after a suspension and just not being productive because we're coming back from an injury and we're already noted as the best player in camp. We're already noted. First practice, getting touches, getting targets. That's the thing about that. There's going to come a sticking point in your draft where it's like, hey, this makes sense. Unless you want to play with 2 condoms on to make sure you have that wide receiver 3 in week 1. That's probably going to give you 3 or 4 wide receiver 1 weeks, 2 to 3, maybe 4 wide receiver 2 weeks, and a bunch of down weeks. There you go. Maybe, but he's going to be in that area. He's going to be in that area. If you look at points per game, you may like some of the other wide receivers a little bit better, but if you really look at the macro or micro of those wide receivers, it's very ambiguous. There's not many rookie wide receivers in that range for you to latch onto that could hit. They're all going a little bit higher, or there's a couple upside plays that are a little bit later. He's not going to fall too far because the production, the workload, the team, and everything else is going to buoy him a little bit. Quinshon Judkins has been falling like a rock. And maybe he needs a little bit more time for that ADP to materialize, but I look for him to be somewhere in that dead zone area. Somewhere in that dead zone area. For the Chiefs, he's going to end up, no matter what happens, he's going to be out there eventually this year. Or maybe it's one of those scenarios you're like, when's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? And it just happens sometimes later. That I don't know. But he's eventually going to be back. He's going to be balling out. He's going to be a big piece of this offense. He's taken over where he left off and playing well. That's the thing about this. And I imagine it's going to continue. And it's going to be like this every day in practice. Just him commanding targets, him taking over. Hollywood Brown's going to be back. Xavier Worthy's in year 2. Expect him to take a step forward, have more big plays. He actually had a nice catch in practice, so we'll cover that. Travis Kelce was getting a lot of targets in 7-on-7s, so that's something to pay attention to. We'll see if there's a drop-off this year. Like, Father Time's just going to do what he wants, so it's eventually going to happen. He's undefeated, kinda. But then you look at Rashee Rice here. If anything, he's probably going to come back fresh. If anything. And if they can hold down, they still got a tough defense. They still got Patrick Mahomes, Xavier Worthy going into year 2, Hollywood Brown. They got Juju. They got some depth on this wide receiver depth chart. They got Jalen Royals, who's a rookie wide receiver I like a lot. I got a couple clips. I want a little bit more, and I'll do a whole video on him. The Rashee Rice thing. When we're talking about fantasy football, you want to look at the opportunity costs. You also want to look at the upside here with the other wide receivers around him. And if you're going RB dead zone, taking some of those running backs, you do have upside running backs in that area because you got rookie running backs in that range. The 3 second rounders not named Quinshon Judkins in that range where you could pick up and draft if you want to shoot for upside. Or you can go with a veteran running back like James Conner. And as long as Father's Time doesn't step in, he should be good. He will be good. Like, he will be good. There's no should. He will be good. Like, James Conner, efficiency metrics were up there. Tops in the league last year. We covered that. So you really shouldn't have to worry about him just falling off. Like, it's going to take something unforeseen. There's going to be a time where it does. But right now, the numbers suggest not. But it takes something unforeseen. And if it happened, it would be unforeseen. There's a lot of good things pointing his way. Looking at Rashee Rice, though, this is a guy, let's say he gets hit with a big suspension, say it's 8 to 10 games. That's going to be really hard in fantasy, that he's going to drop like a stone right before drafts or during that time, or you're going to be able to trade for him on the cheap, somewhere down the line, with somebody that's getting ho-hum production. You can hold him, however you want to do it, however you want to materialize that. When he comes back, he's already proven to insert himself right back in and be one of the top guys. He's already proved he's doing that right here. That's another thing that's telling you. He's been out with an injury a bit. He works hard. He works hard to get back to this. Like, he's going to be working. He's going to have a chip on his shoulder. There's more than what you're seeing here. This is a player that works hard with a chip on his shoulder to pay attention to. You're just going to have to navigate the price tag of wherever that's going to be in your league, wherever that's going to be at ADP at that moment, and you're not going to know. I don't know. You don't know. He doesn't know. Patrick Mahomes don't know. And it may not happen. Odds are it is. Some way, shape, form, sometime. We're watching. But sometimes weird stuff happens and you're like, when's it happening? When's it happening? It could be middle of the year. It could be somewhere. Like sometimes. But you're looking at Rashee Rice here. This is a wide receiver that's building rapport with Patrick Mahomes, growing in the offense. This is starting to become a major trend of him just being one of the top players. and that's going to materialize, hopefully for a full season sometime. I know last year was supposed to be the full season for the injury. We were looking at that this time last year. Hopefully for a full season sometime. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I want to hear about that. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. One thing for watching. Catch you on the next video.